it's Lee from ColouringQueen.net, and today I want to show you 3 household products that you can use to blend your coloured pencils. Now I recently did quite a large review on all the different blending products that you can purchase to blend your colouring pencils, and the link to the extended review is below this video, and there's also a summary if you want to watch that, and the link is below this video. But if you don't want to purchase blending products, you can use items around your home to blend out. So here's 3 that are cheap and pretty easy. They're probably in your cupboard right now. Now, bear in mind that these things aren't made to blend or for use in artwork, so you can get staining if you use too much or damage your page, and you certainly wouldn't use it for work that you were going to sell because it's not really artist quality and it might deteriorate over time. So, but if you just want to blend out a picture, you can use these household products. So the first ones are things that you probably have in your cupboard right now. So toilet paper, cotton pads or cotton wool boards, Q-tips or cotton tips as we call them in Australia. And in your kitchen cupboard you probably have some paper towel, and you can use those things all to blend. So I'll just quickly show you over here. So we can just pick up our cotton tip and just go over it, and it's kind of like a paper stump. Just smooths out these polychromos that have popped on this flower. You're not damaging the paper, it's not staining. You are taking a little bit of pigment off, but you can always reapply more once you've smoothed out any little scratch marks or bits of tooth showing. And you can use the makeup pad in the same manner. Just push it around, and it's obviously better if you're using this on a larger area because it doesn't have a small point to get into the fiddly bits like the other one does, and you'll get a bit of pigment rubbed off, but you'll also smooth out any of those lines, and you can always add more colour and smooth again. Same with the toilet paper or a bit of tissue, and again you can just, you know, come in here and just smooth away by gently rubbing. Now this is not going to damage most papers, it will just smooth it out, but sometimes you can't get all of those little bits of tooth depending on the type of paper, and so you might need to go to a more liquid form in order to do that. But it's certainly softened it out a little bit, but I think to really smooth it out I might need something else on that one. So the other products that we can use are Vaseline or petroleum jelly. I've just got a little jar here that I just keep in the colouring cave. I haven't used this one, this is a new one. And you can just put it on a little Q-tip. Now don't use too much because it'll soak into the page and it might actually stain the reverse page. It's much better if you're using this on a digital image. I'm just going to wipe off a little bit there, and you just want to have a little tiny bit and just go over enough to smooth out any of those little bits of pigment that are still showing, little bits of tooth. So you've got to be very sparing with it, otherwise it might ghost through to the other side, and you don't want that, it'll ruin your picture. So it hasn't stained on my other side, so I'm happy. Might need to go over that again, but it works pretty well, and you can use just the one itty bitty dab on quite a number of areas, and then, you know, go over it again with pencil if you need to. But just be careful because it can stain or stick onto the other side of the paper when you close your book. So you've got to make sure you don't use a lot so that it would do that, and really much better on digital pages, or pages that you don't have to worry about the book closing over and damaging it. But you know, if you need to use these sorts of things, then you've probably got them around your house and you can see if you like the effect or not. It's taken off quite a bit of pigment, but we can always reapply that. And you can always just lift off a little bit of your cotton bud and just remove the dirty bit and reuse it. Now, the other thing that you can do with the Vaseline or petroleum jelly, I just usually use the no brand stuff, by the way. I only bought the fancy stuff to show you so that you would know the labels, but I just use the cheap stuff. And I've got so many blending products that, you know, I really don't often use this anyway anymore, but I used to use it. So I've got some Faber-Castell classic pencils, and these are student grade pencils. They don't usually blend that well. So what you can do is just dip the tip into your little pot of petroleum jelly, and any brand will do, and then apply it, and that'll make it go on a lot smoother for you to blend with. So you can either use it after you've done your blending or before, like this, just by dipping your tip in it. Try not to get the wood casing wet with product, because you can damage the wood there and sort of rot it out. But when we put these on without the Vaseline, you can see that it's quite scratchy and it's not really that great. But a little dip in the old petroleum jelly pot and it goes on super smooth and really glides on. And to me, this is the nicer way of doing it than the first way I showed you, but it's quite scratchy now with running out of our Vaseline. And you're only putting a tiny little amount on the tip of your pencil there. Tiny, tiny. And it just sort of makes it easier to glide across and to sort of blend it all together. But bear in mind, these are not made for art use. This is just a little cheap way of doing things if you are without a blender, or if you're new to colouring and you just want to use what you've got around the home before you commit to buying anything. And that makes it so much easier. So the petroleum jelly we can use a few ways, and we can also use the good old baby oil. This is just a no-name brand. Now this is very oily, so usually I just pour a small amount into the lid, and really only a drip or two, and I just use it from there. Now, you really do not want to get your cotton bud too wet with this. If you do, just dry it off on a bit of tissue or paper towel or whatever, because otherwise this really can go through to the other side of your page. So this one we'd already blended, so let's try it on the Crayola over here. And it's just really just smoothing it out. Now you can of course use a little paintbrush. There's very hard to get into the little crooks and crannies and all the fiddly bits with a cotton tip if they're small areas. So you can use a little paintbrush if you want, or even just pour it into an empty marker container. But you can see it's really smoothed out all the Crayola, there's no more tooth showing, and we can use it on whatever we fancy. Make sure you use a clean tip when you're changing colours so that you're not getting any bits of oil or pigment transfer onto other parts of your picture. But you can go over the picture again using this, so we had a little bit of tooth showing there, so just gone over it and smoothed it out again. And if you find that a lot of the pigment is coming off, just wait for it to dry and then go back over it again with your pencils. But you can see it really does smooth it out, gets rid of that tooth, and you've probably got it at home already in your house. So there's those 3 quick and easy ways to blend out your coloured pencils. If you're interested in specific blending products, then please check out the videos below where I've reviewed 12 of the well-known blending products in the colouring world. And over the side there is no ghosting through to the page. It's all fine, but as always, make sure you practice on a spare piece of paper first or a spare book and work out how much liquid you really need to apply. And try not to apply too much, you know, less is more. You can always go back and apply a little bit more if it hasn't worked out the way that you hope. So that's it from me. Until next time, stay safe and happy colouring.